not just the excitement that they give you, but also the where you feel like you are, they are providing their undivided attention to you for that
Right.
minute or that exchange or whatever. So like that's, yeah,
Yeah. Well,
that's
and
hard.
interestingly, that's what they say about like Tom Cruise and Donald Trump,
Yes,
even
yes,
even people
yes,
who like didn't like Trump but met him, and they're like, I
yes,
gotta say, he does make you feel like, it's gonna be a great day and like we're
yes.
winning.
Well, I think that
Which is
there's a
like that. I mean, that's like the hypnotism of it. And like Tom Cruise, they say, just is that he gives you his full attention like that.
and but see, and I think that that's cool and it's really interesting from the psychology perspective. But I think that my mind instantly goes to skepticism because it's just the idea that they use that probably,
Mm.
it's part of their, mystique, if not mythos. But it's also like the idea that it's pretty easy to do that. Like when you're the dude that everybody, like when you're out in public, every
Yes.
camera is on you, everything is on you. It's pretty easy. Like it actually kind of takes a heel to not occasionally, like, really get down and speak to someone, or to, it's when the world is trying to, I don't know, whatever. I mean, it does, because it can be both positive and negative, but
Hang
it,
on,
it
dude. Somebody's
behooves those
somebody's
individuals.
pounding out.
You don't have to live life as a zero sum game, but there is a degree of that. And there's only so much land, there's only so much certain things. So you've got to be a person that, like, if you've got a lot of that wealth and that kind of influence over business, and then, hence society and other things, it was expected that you were going to do great public works. That's where some of our greatest, theaters and museums and all that stuff comes from. And now it's just such this cutthroat, all about me, nothing about you. And even the ones that like play at being philanthropists, like the Gates and the Oracle of Omaha, whatever, I forget his name right now. Uh,
Warren Buffett,
Buffett, yeah.
who, by the way, fucking genius again. Did you?
Yeah.
I
Oh my
remember
god.
hearing in the news, like people were talking like 3 or 4 weeks ago about, yeah, Buffett's moving so much into cash. It's
Yep.
moving all his positions into cash.
Oh yeah.
That dude can't miss.
Well, he's still sound fundamentals, and he's how business is done. It's tried, true, and tested theories and practices, and you have all this. I mean, we live in a meme society. Like, I'm pissed at the president right now. I'm angry at yesterday's shenanigans. I mean, think
Yeah.
of the people that were
Well, that's a
privy
good
to
place to
those
start.
years
We should
in
probably
our.
officially start the show.
Okay, yeah,
So,
I'm mad.
yeah, I mean, let's talk about it. We're sitting here. It's, what is it, April 11th now, or April 10th?
Yeah.
And it's been, a couple days of, I think, exactly what most people expected, the whole, I hurt you, I hurt you, I hurt you, then I hurt you a little bit less, and then I ask you to thank me, kind of thing.
Ah, well said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Oh, oh my word. Yes, it's,
let's
yeah.
take a look. Let's take a
Okay,
look at this.
please do.
And I think we're going to do much better than that this time, because this time I'm doing what I want to do with respect to the tariffs. I think we're going to do much better. And don't let some of these politicians go around saying, because I'm telling you, these countries are calling us up, kissing my ass. They are. They are dying to make a deal. Please, please, sir, make a deal. I'll do anything. I'll do anything, sir. And then I'll see some rebel Republican, some guy that wants to grandstand, say, I think that Congress should take over negotiations. Let me tell you, you don't negotiate like I negotiate.
Okay,
Oh my word. What a, I mean,
so
he, I just, does no one tell him how small he comes across when he does the voices? When he slips into the
yeah,
voice? and the sir thing. Like the one time he said, I don't know, it's been 2 years now or whatever, when he's telling the story about Melania, and she says, sir. And he's like, well, and he realizes what he said. And he's like, oh, sometimes she just jokes and calls me sir. But like, he just fabricates on the spot all of this, like, respect that he's supposedly getting. And he's not, I mean, oh my word. But
yeah, it's interesting too, because like when he talks, because everything's become about like negotiating, even though he, completely said in the past this was not a negotiation tactic. This is just what I believe should be the tariffs. He completely he's completely gone back on that. I lost my train of thought for a second, but go ahead.
That's not shocking. I mean, not that, but like with what's coming down the pipe, like the whole, analogy of drinking from a fire hose has never been more true. But absolutely, like the thing that most insults me about that little clip is the idea of they're kissing my ass.
Right.
You've already given away so much leverage by this whole, like, everyone is done with, I mean, they're captive to the U.S. market. Yes, I get that. And that's why I'm so insulted, actually, is because it's not your ass that they should be kissing. It's the fact that the American people, the country of America, has built this amazing, not only what we put out, but what we have the ability to purchase because of our strength and all these things. And you're feigning this victimhood that works so well for your political bullshit shenanigans. But this is my country that you're hanging over a barrel and risking my reputation because you want your ass kissed. Fuck you. That's what I say. Please. Did that bring
and
back
the idea that you can just usurp like the Constitution because you are allegedly this better negotiator than whatever deal Congress could make. This is the lie that's just being built upon itself about the fact that he's even a good businessman.
It's such a falsehood.
That's the problem with the the kind of MAGA crowd, like the real Trump can do no wrong folks, is Absolutely. That they've built this on this idea that he's a great businessman, and there's really no evidence to reflect that.
The people that absolutely buy into the exact, the MAGAs, if you will, because again, I'm not, totally against, every word this guy says or every thought process that this group of people has as far as things that need to be addressed, but it's so much about how it's being addressed. And the idea that these people that blindly support him, the same ones that, again, like superimpose his fucking head on Conan bodies and Rambo fucking bodies, you sycophantic, weird fucking fanboys on such a crazy, disgusting, weird level. I don't even want to get into that psychology, but he is absolutely a false. I mean, he's a paper tiger now, and the world understands that. And so, like, people are only going to put up with America now as much as they have to, and that's despicable that he did that to all of us for his ego. But above and beyond that, like you said about being an absolute joke of a businessman, think back to the fact, first of all, the only time he's ever a good negotiator is when he has so much overwhelming leverage, usually from somebody else's company or the country right now, that he is a player. But through his life, I mean, he had a ghostwriter write basically a falsehood of a book, wrote that in simultaneously with he owes his career to Robin Leach and taking everybody on the tour of the gold leaf
toilets,
gross, penthouse apartment of his. He basically is like tries to suckle to the teat of Hollywood for years and years and years, and going on Stern and all the other garbage that he tried to keep relevant of, besides the sick stuff in the press and the different stuff like that. But then he gets just thrown this magnificent bone of being, the apprentice, or being on that show. Yeah. They basically, from my understanding, I won't even get into hearsay, whatever, but it was a shit show joke. They get there, they fluff him up. The first season or two has that older guy and the blonde woman, like, before it goes completely incestuous.
And then they ditch them.
and it's like, okay, but it was really just basically who could fundraise the most during that period of time, like, got to be the whatever. He was nothing. So then people, 10, however many years of that show went on, people absolutely got this even more, this false, like, inflation of who really this guy was. And now we have today. I mean, you think back.
Well, the ironic thing about The Apprentice, since you bring up The Apprentice, is, because that's really the only thing that is truly a success that he probably can be credited for somewhat, because he was just so right for that. But if you look back, and I watched that show, I love that show. I hated number one when it switched to Celebrity Apprentice, but in retrospect, that's probably a sign that it's like, okay, we can't put this guy up as an actual, serious, legitimate businessman that somebody would want to compete to actually go work for in real life. Nobody's going to really believe this anymore. So let's just make it celebrities and, like you say, do fundraisers. And that's exactly it. Like, the whole way to win Celebrity Apprentice is to basically have the best relationships with celebrities.
Sure got shittier.
So it very much mirrors what his career success is. So it kind of tracks.
It turned into an absolute reality show. Like, in the sense of everybody drunk, and like the one I watched, like, the first season when it was like supposedly like legitimate candidates or whatever, and then I watched the season later on, the celebrity one with our boy Rodman, and so like just I could see the degradation in from that to the second view, and again, I mean, there are plenty of intelligent people that I respect on almost every other level that have such a false interpretation of this guy that I think that is it's a core issue that doesn't get talked about enough. I mean, because don't get me wrong. I mean, like, you'd think that somebody would have some level of self-awareness, but like, again, when so many people are just blindly adoring you, like, I get why he leans into the worst parts of who he is for that. I mean, someone didn't hug him enough or hug him too much, but he needs his ass kissed. That is his desire. He loves the adoration. All right, this was my favorite part this time. Oh wait, hold up! I gotta. Yeah, and what's extra insulting is the fact that he telegraphs these moves so far in advance. I mean, it's like he thinks like when he talks about the weave and the different things like that. It's right there. I mean, you're so transparent and so.
Well, I also love every time, and I posted this on my Facebook this week just because I had to get it off my chest. But I love. Like, the tell that Trump has is anytime he comes out and starts explaining the definition of a word to the public, a word that we all know, that's how you know he just learned that word.
Absolutely.
And he's such a fucking narcissist that he assumes, oh, this is a brand new word I learned. I'm going to need to go explain it to the plebs. So that's why you see him going, we got reciprocal tariffs. Reciprocal. It's a great word. It means
what a
we
wonderful...
do it to them, they do it to us. You know? You just learned it.
That is absolutely a truth. And I think that the other one that I observe all the time is what I kindly refer to as the lifecta. You've heard of like the trifecta coming in, first, second, third. The lifecta is basically a 3-part thing where he'll say something and he'll get just the right, like a little surge from the crowd, a little like,
blood in the water.
He'll run it a second time real quick, like, with a little more inflection, a little more, and he's on it. You see the eyes. I mean, it's probably the most active he is, like, interacting with the crowd. And then once it's locked in, he's got confirmation. The volume increases, the attention's there. He'll say it a third time, and you see it again in the eyes, where when he repeats it that third time, he believes it now. It's no longer like something he was sampling to the crowd, something he was just making up on the fucking spot. It's something now that third time it's locked in, and it's going to come hell or high water before he changes his opinion on that. I mean, it's
like saying Beetlejuice 3 times. You say it 3 times, and all of a sudden you have a bad idea forever.
Yes, I don't. Yes, oh my word, it's. You can watch it happen. I mean, these are observations that you can absolutely verify. Oh, this frickin' woman.
Let's hear from Professor Umbridge.
There's been some public sparring between Elon Musk and the president's trade advisor, Peter Navarro, on some of these tariffs. Musk actually referred to Navarro today as being, quote, dumber than a sack of bricks. Are you at all, or is the administration, the president, at all concerned that impacting the public understanding of these tariffs with on it?
No, these are two leaders who have very different views on trade and on tariffs. Boys will be boys, and we will let the public sparring continue. And you guys should all be very grateful that we have the most transparent administration in history. And I think it also speaks to the president's willingness to hear from all sides, that he has people at the highest levels of this government in this White House who have very diverse on issues. The president, all opinions in motion based on the best interests of the American public.
My goodness,
this woman just keeps.
I mean, the gaslighting.
Oh my God! Like
this is like right off the heels of you never said thank you. You never said thank you. Now we should be grateful, for such a transparent administration. And boys will be boys about a very, I think, probably important issue to most folks.
Where do we start? Like, oh my God. Let me tackle the boys will be boys first of all, because I think that's such a bullshit excuse for any fucking thing. First of all, and you are the adult fucking men that are running our fucking country. You
right
fucks. Secondly, that woman I mean, I don't want to be like, again, the fact that she's a 27-year-old young mother, a woman in the meat, like whatever. Talk about gaslighting. Like, yes, none of that is why I think you're an asshole. Like, it's how you do your job and the propaganda that you spew. Before we even get into what they've done to the press pool and all it's a fucking joke. She is just out there spewing garbage, and this does not affect her job, but like, I don't know. I try to embrace the, love who you're going to love type of thing. But do you know that her husband is like in his like late 50s?
No, I don't know anything about her personally.
Yeah. So it's a very like, much like and I actually think I've been relatively impressed by most of her judicial decisions, but like the Amy Coney Barrett thing, there was a lot of discussion about the, female subservience to the male within certain bodies of within certain parts of the Christian body. And I don't, I don't know how, because so much of this new administration and the peripheral players are so these kind of, let's just call them interesting, sects or, denominations or whatever you would call them of Christianity. And again, this is coming from someone who considers himself a Christian. Like, that's not. Yeah, I really truly.
Well, none of it should be a factor. Like, we shouldn't even be discussing. Like, I don't want to know what their religions are.
Absolutely.
I don't give a shit, especially because I definitely don't want to see our president standing up there pretending to be a Christian, because that makes us look bad. It fools his supporters, but it makes us look even that much more ridiculous.
Yes, we should hold
very transparent.
Well, like I've said a million times, like the people that are the closest to you, or that you believe in this, or at least profess to believe in the same things, those are the people whose feet you should hold closest to the fire. You really need to. They need to represent what you believe in and what you represent in the right way. And there's nothing wrong with discussing that. I hate the whole idea of, no one can know your heart but him. Well, but everybody can see your behaviors and the words you use, and you're an asshole. Like that doesn't,
Yeah.
so that doesn't absolve, like none of that forgives you. Like, so shut up. Like again, the gaslighting, the false equivalency, the straw man arguments. I mean, it's
And the condescension, that's what I can't stand about her, is that
yeah,
anytime
that's
the way she does the smug grin, anytime there's a question that is any kind of pushback on the administration at all, it's like just
right.
the condescending smile and stuff. It just
Yeah.
pisses me off because
Oh, you simple
I
motherfucker.
know how
Oh,
much a
it's
certain
silly. You
group
don't
of
understand.
people think she's awesome and thinks he's awesome,
Yes.
and it's confusing how people are being so
Well, and
hypnotized.
again,
And
there
I'm definitely with the, like, I really liked what Bill Maher said this week. I didn't like hear it on his podcast, but I heard a clip of it, so I'm somewhat paraphrasing, but he made a good point because, I know you're not a huge fan of Bill Maher, but I
well,
like
he's
him,
fallen
and
far in my book.
I like his perspective. But he was just talking about how this time around he's not going to, like, hate in advance anything that Trump does. He's going to just be open-minded.
Yeah, I mean, I watch him
around and whatever. But,
yeah.
It's been a shit show, obviously. But he was talking about something that he did about, pulling out some people from... He basically sent a picture to a terrorist saying, hey, this is an aerial photo of your house. So if anything goes wrong with this operation that's going to happen, we just want you to know we know where you live. And Bill Maher was making the point that that's actually a pretty good move, that you want a president that, has some balls like that in a way where you want to go intimidate for the sake of, a military operation like that. And I'm kind of with him, not specifically on that one, although I do kind of like that. But I am definitely, as usual, on the side of, I'll take everything on a case-by-case basis. So I'm not going to throw out everything that the dude does, but, right
Yeah,
now...
I mean, in theory, I get what the implication of trying to not go in angry or whatever you want to say with this administration. But like that's just a bad example in my book for like Maher is, one of the things I find most challenging these days is his blind, like, he has fallen into the trap of, and he deny it, but has more lumped Palestinians in or Gazans in with the terrorists, and he's so blindly, is pro-Israel that I don't think he does enough to acknowledge where they have absolutely gone wrong. And with not only have had absolute green light during the end of the Biden administration, but now have just absolutely all governors have been taken off with what they're doing. And again, and I'm not saying like right to defend themselves, all the different things that are true, but you as your response to an attack speaks volumes to your morality and what you are trying to be as a people. And no matter what heinous things happen to your people in the past, that doesn't give you permission for the oppressed to become the oppressor. And there are like just the things of over 115 journalists, like Gazan journalists, have been killed. That's higher than even during like World War II, and no foreign press is allowed in. The fact that they don't cover at all, the fact that it's not just that trucks weren't getting in for a while, the few that were getting in, quote unquote, were allowed a mile within the border under protection of the IDF for citizens of Israel, just random citizens, to go in and rip down and open up these flour bags and these things to basically punish an entire people for what a terrible group of people did. And I would argue somewhat under the with Netanyahu allowing the funds to go to them, with them allowing them to stay in power, there is a certain thing that we as Americans know very well with how the whole Iran thing worked out. in a weird, twisted sense, behooves us as a country to have a few people in power that are the radical Islamic, minority. That's a whole nother discussion. Pulling it back.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I would offer on that issue is that, I don't think I would be.
Can I ask you a question? Here's where I guess
I don't think I would enough to judge anyone else's opinion on the situation in the Middle East. Like, I have my own opinions about it, but I am not in a position to judge most people's opinion on that, because that is a situation that is far too complicated for me or most people I know to understand. But let me say this, so let me finish. Because my response to it would be, if you were Biden or Trump, what would you do differently than what you object to how they handled it? Like, how would you solve the Middle East? You know what I mean?
It's not about solving the Middle East. It's letting Israel have unchecked vengeance against the people of Gaza for the awful, murderous, terrorist acts of the Hamas organization. And I think that not addressing...
But is Hamas not their elected organization, though? Their elected leadership right now?
We don't know that Putin is falsely in power, that he's rigged election. Like, no, I mean, they could absolutely have a fair election in Gaza with the help of the Israelis, but they don't. Again, I don't want to get into all the minutia of that, because they're all wrong at some level, and some of them, like, again, and I'm someone that has.
I mean, not just at some level. October 7th was a fucking shit show, dude. I mean, that's not wrong at some level.
Absolutely. But I'm talking about propaganda and falsehoods. Like, how many people, like, in the couple days after that, talked about babies being put in ovens? About, like, there were 3 children under the age of, like, 4 that died that day. And that's despicable, heinous, and you would never... I mean, again, every motherfucker that crossed that border to do evil should be fucking put in the ground. Don't mistake what I'm fucking saying. But the response to that can be overblown and full of fucking shit if it's not kept in check. And that's what we could have had some level of say in, instead of letting Netanyahu do a bunch of despicable shit after the despicable shit was fucking done. So that's where my big issue with it is. And I think sometimes you have to hold your friends to account. There are ways to execute a war, and it's not by... I mean, the sheer volume of innocent civilians that have died in the last 18 months or whatever it's been now, it can't keep being that those 1,000 people justify, the 50,000 plus now.
Right. I agree with that, but what should Trump do? I mean, what should he do?
I don't know. I'm not in policy.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the thing that frustrates me when this becomes such a... Because the fact that this is such a divisive issue here in the United States, like, and we can't do anything about it. Like, I roll my eyes in, not like in a condescending way, but just in a why bother way, when I see all the fighting that people are doing about these campus protests and all of this stuff, because no protest of any kind here in the United States about Israel and Palestine. I mean, for a while, everybody was making Ukraine their profile pictures, and then it became Israel and Palestine. I'm guessing it's probably going to be Ukraine here in a few weeks. Like, it's all in vain. I mean, some of it's just virtue signaling, but even the sincere stuff is in vain. We have no power.
That's a great place to come back full circle, back specifically to Bill Maher, because he was big on the whole protest thing. I have no issue with condemning the dipshits that are wrapping the fucking scarves around and like are emulating Hamas or yelling down fucking the Jewish students as they pass. Have no fucking patience for it whatsoever. But what I also don't have fucking patience for, and this is what I'm specifically speaking about doing things the right way, is then you don't, when they go to break up the building, you don't have the cop that's leading the charge up the fucking ladder with his flashlight on the end of his gun. These are fucking students peacefully fucking protesting. Yes, I get that they barricaded a fucking building. That's happened for 40 fucking years. So again, condemn the ones, but like there's a way to fucking go about it. And then also report on when the same kind of condemn the same kids that were going overboard out in California, but also report more extensively on all the people unassociated with the school, not students, not anything else, other adults showing up on campus to beat the shit out of the fucking students. So what I'm saying is there are people doing it wrong all over the place.
Right.
So
and just so
hold our friends' feet to the fire.
Just so we're historically correct here too, like to circle back to your point about the, overblown response, which I do agree with. I'm not saying, I don't agree with Netanyahu's response to any of this. It is overblown. However, I will say that when these campus protests became a thing and when you started seeing, Queers for Palestine, the most ironic protest sign of the year, this was actually very shortly after October 7th when the response was pretty much apples to apples at that point. There were already people, when there was a big response at all, that were jumping on the side.
It really did. I mean, I'm sure there was some protesting, but it exploded in May. It absolutely did. Because I remember I wrote something specifically on Mother's Day about the volume of death of the mothers and fucking children of fucking Gaza. So, no, I remember vividly. And usually that's the time.
That's what I'm saying. Those protests were way before May.
I'm saying when it started getting everybody's ire worked up, like Maher was during that time. I'm not saying it didn't happen prior to that, but I'm just saying. So that was 8 months after the start of it. So again, and I'm not, yes, it's a quagmire of a fucked up situation, and we probably have done
the thing that needs to be not forgotten.
We have actually helped.
The thing that needs to not be forgotten is that I think if people really look in their heart of hearts, they would admit that both of these two nations would prefer to wipe the other one off the map.
Oh, I don't think so.
Hamas is pretty vocal about it. It's part of their charter. It's part of their whole thing.
Yes, and that's okay. Again, this is. Do we want to make this whole day about this? Because
I'm just saying. I mean,
let's talk about the Balfour Act of fucking 1917 when the fucking it was British fucking Palestine, and they decided, them in America and France.
I'm not talking about who's justified. I'm not even saying who is right or wrong.
You got to have the whole history if you're really going to talk about this. So all I simply said to come full circle is when we're arming and fucking giving money and giving support and giving everything else to one side, if you will, because I'm not talking about the Hamas. I'm talking about the poor fucking people of Gaza that are stuck in the middle. That's the one side. And the other side is the fucking Israeli fucking population, because they can do it. The Hamas, fucking hunt them down. Put fucking boots on the ground. Get in there. Don't fucking rain fire and brimstone from the fucking skies. Fucking blow up shit from a mile away in fucking tanks. If you got to get in there and get those rat fucking bastards fucking dug out and fucking killed, you fucking do it. But you do it the right fucking way. That's what I fucking feel. I've loved me some fucking Palestinians. I've loved me some fucking Jews in my life, and both can be right and both can be fucking wrong.
Yeah. I'm on the side that in this war they're both wrong, because it's since our whole lives this has been going on. Our whole lives.
Yes.
We've heard about this, and I don't think we should be I don't think we should be supplying one side with weapons. I don't think we should be involved in it at all.
Think of how the closest sniff of peace that there's been, like the two-state solution, which has long been fucking abandoned by one side, not the other, more exclusively. Again, when Ariel Sharon and Nasser Arafat, when fucking Clinton went over there basically to fucking stroke his own ego into fucking glad hand, behind the scenes, they were getting close to some sort of fucking agreement. When he went over there, he got fucking Sharon killed because the fucking extremist far right of the fucking Israeli population fucking killed his ass. So again, we constantly talk about how it's always the Palestinians. It's always again, Hamas. I don't
say that. That's not me.
Distinction between Hamas and Palestinians. But what I'm saying is there has not been. We have slipped into, on a world stage, they're a forgotten fucking people. And that scares the fuck out of me. It doesn't make me any less have affection for Israel. It makes me no less. Do I care about the Jewish people? But I care about doing right in this world. And the best way you can do that is hold the people that you consider to be part of your tribe to the highest standard possible. And that's all I meant to imply in all of this. So,
yeah, well, I agree with that. But we as a nation are going to be judged and we're going to be judged and dealt with based on our leadership. Now, granted, ours isn't actually democratically elected leadership, but if your leadership, however they came to power, is fucking things up for you and contributing to getting people killed, then that has to be addressed too. That's all I'm saying. Because we're gonna be judged by our leadership right now.
Their elections,
our whole economy's being sunk by it.
Well, that's not their elected leadership. So, and they don't let the PLA. They don't. Again, it's so many working pieces that you can't. There is no simplistic statement to be said in any of this.
I agree with that. It's not. It's very complicated, but
yes. So, yes.
I don't even know how we only got on that because you were saying you didn't like Bill Maher, because of how he handled it.
Yes, because I think he beats a drum in one direction sometimes, and it's he has great influence. So I would love to see a slightly more even-handed explanation going into the ripping of a certain opinion. He has the right. Again,
we've lost all the even-handed. It pisses me off. Like all the podcasts.
Then simply don't that's his thing right now, or like the Gavin Newsom's or the whatever. Like you can have a distinct take and a distinct opinion, and not like. I don't know. I just don't want to be sold anymore on this whole all the Democratic side of the ledger seems to be talking about how they need to be more understanding or be more open to what, and that was pretty obvious before. So it's now you're making changes because of losing power, and I don't mean the Democrats exclusively, but I mean anything that I don't know.
We don't have any effective Democrats right now, really.
Well, absolutely. The biggest thing that I've seen, speaking of, touching on the, let's say push to the right. First of all, the push to the right absolutely started under Bill Clinton. Like the change in our politics I would quickly sum it up by saying, when Bill Clinton came to power, he, as a Wall Street darling, and some of the things that he wanted to perpetuate, he jumped the track. Like liberalism, America at its finest, is like a liberal train. I know conservatives nowadays say liberal like as an insult, like it means progressive, but truly, America is based and founded on liberalism. So when it's at its best, it's a train humming down the tracks, liberal train. Bill Clinton comes to power. He says, I like the left. I like being, playing the sax for on Arsenio. I like, showing the photos of me at the JFK camps as a teenager, and I want to really appeal to that. Aw shucks, Arkansas, left leaning Democrat. But I'm in bed with real estate. I'm
And
in
I
bed
like me some
with
interns.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I won't even touch on that. But he's also, in bed with big business, with Wall Street, with all that kind of stuff. So he comes to power, and he basically takes this. I mean, it's amazing to me how similar Trump's, other than the authoritarian aspects of it, his agenda is very much what the Clinton agenda in the early to mid 90s was. But anyway, he comes into power. He says all the money, all the
Trump
power
was a
is on the
Democrat
right.
in the early to mid 90s.
So he absolutely he was
Still
in
kinda is.
cahoots. They were in cahoots. But anyway, that's back when Trump was still paying politicians. Now he's getting paid. But so Clinton jumps the tracks to the right. So now, obviously, there's some progressives that can't come with him, but a bulk of the party comes with him. Well, Newt Gingrich and all these guys, they're definitely not going to go left, so they get even pushed further right. I mean, they're off the tracks, and then since then it's spun into this. Basically, the MAGA is the conclusion of that. But all along the way, like you have, George W. Bush tried to get NAFTA passed, but he didn't. But Bill Clinton shucks it into power, even though 3 people die in protests in Seattle, beforehand. Don't hear about that. I mean, it keeps moving to the right. Bush tries to be the sympathetic Republican, but in the background, he's, removing some protections. He's, leaving the post office and Social Security somewhat out to dry, whatever. It's shrinking. You get to Obama. Obama is new money Bush. He's as close. I mean, you always hear like Rhino, Republican in name only. He was a dino. He was a Democrat in name only.
Yeah.
So he's got, whatever. You have the biggest grifter in politics in my lifetime in the last 50 years is Joseph Robinette Biden. So like all of these things led to the election of Donald Trump. And what I think most scares me is under the guise of, just going right or going more conservative, what we've also seen, and specifically in the judiciary, is, not only has Congress long since abdicated almost full power to the presidency, and now the judiciary is like reinforcing that. So we're going to have an emperor, or if we don't already. But what people fail to understand is even the Democrats, the 3 Democrats that are in the Supreme Court right now, are absolutely corporate, pro-corporate power. They're corporatists. So like all of this is leading more and more to the entrenchment of the ruling entitled class and the, everybody else fend for yourselves. So, I think many presidents have made mistakes, had successes and failures, but I think that the true abandonment of the working man started under Bill Clinton, and basically culminated at so many working class people voting against their self-interest to support this guy that just wants no accountability, for just money and power to be the only thing that counts for anything in this world. And I guess they're getting what they asked for.
All right, one last story.
All right.
Did you hear about this? Because this was just like kind of breaking news in the last day or so. What is her name? I want to look. Jillian Lauren, the wife of the bass player from Weezer. Did you hear about this?
No, I saw a quick thing on the Chiron this morning, but I didn't really get the full gist.
So she got shot by the police, and apparently what happened is they were pursuing a hit and run who like fled into her next door neighbor's yard. And I don't know if like went through theirs first or whatever. There was a whole bunch of commotion. So this lady goes out and, she's like a true crime author. I don't want to just refer to her as the wife of the bassist for Weezer, but that's a little disrespectful. But she goes out with her gun to see what's up, and the cops are pursuing, and she, as they say, brandishes her gun. And this is the part where it gets a little weird. Like, I'm sure we'll have to wait and see with like the body cam footage or whatever. But I guess they were telling her to drop it, and she wouldn't drop it or whatever, and they eventually shot her in the shoulder, and then she ended up like running into the house and like just kind of like hunkering down for like a half hour and then eventually surrendering herself or whatever. So crazy shit. And now she's being charged with attempted murder.
Oh, fuck. Were they on her property?
They were. I guess I would think, because I don't think she left her property, it sounds like from the reports, but
because that would be the
tricky part is that moment, like whatever happened in that moment where they're telling her to drop it. Like, if it was very clear that they're law enforcement, then maybe there's a case there. I don't know about attempted murder. That might be a little sounds a little severe based on everything they've said.
I have a lot of sympathy for the plight of the officer in the sense of like, yeah, it is a dangerous job and all that stuff, but ultimately you sign up for it, you are trained for it, and in many cases it sounds like you need to be better trained for it. And like, again, if she has taken that gun out, and if she, it's not tucked away for protection, it's out, and she's out on the other side of her fence, she's out in the yard of, there's a creek down behind her house, like whatever, she's out in general population, if you will. How are they to know? Like, how are they to whatever? So like the idea of like, in the spur of the moment, like whatever, but the impunity with which police act nowadays also gives me great pause, because like, again, if they busted into her yard for whatever reason, maybe she's taking out a gun because she hears the commotion, she's a little worried. And you can't always, again, your brain doesn't always perfectly respond to, again, I would love to see the footage, because I don't know. I've seen far too many, body cam footage where the guy says freeze or drop it and is already fucking pulling the trigger. He's executing that motherfucker as he's saying drop the weapon or whatever. So this notion that police can just decree that I felt threatened and they can fuck people up disgusts me, and it makes me trust police far less. But again, we have the castle doctrine or whatever it is. So like, if you're coming on my property, maybe I didn't register right away that it was a uniform, like whatever, like you're lucky you're not fucking dead, motherfucker.
Yeah, totally. Well, and that's how it feels to me. And again, like, I'm reserving judgment until I see like body cam footage or whatever. But
absolutely,
yeah, I agree with that. Is that like, it almost feels like the attempted murder charge, because that feels so severe for what they've described, that it almost feels like they have to say that way they can go back and say, hey, I had to shoot her, I feared for my life, I thought she was about to shoot me.
That's an interesting point.
You can't call it something different.
Yes. Yeah. Because the liability aspect, regardless of and that's what's so disgusting about things like that is it has become such a weirdly litigious process. Like, not the law is not meant to be right and wrong. It's supposed to be based on facts. You know what I mean? So like, I get that there's always going to be like arguments and gray areas of certain things. But again, this whole like, I mean, if you're busting through my back fence, I'm shooting first and asking questions later. And that's really where I separate. Now, again, also, like, if she was, just because she's famous or like whatever, if she took it upon herself to go try to solve the fucking crime, and she's out in a back lot or something, put the gun down, like,
like I said, it sounds like she might have. I'm interested to see, like, with the not dropping it when they say they ordered her to drop it. But even still, if she was on her property, let's not forget she didn't shoot. Like, she could have shot you, you know? Well, so I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how that all shakes out. I'm curious if they destroyed her sweater. That's my question.
Hold the thread. He walked away. Yeah, no, I mean, on a very somber note, it makes me think of the poor, I think he was Air Force, but he was like a very accomplished young, serviceman, airman and he was, there was some altercation on the ground. Like, this was an apartment that he lived in, off base or whatever, and was having a discussion with his girlfriend. And the body cam, you see the police knock on the door, and then he moves out of sight. Knocks on the door again, moves out of sight. And then the guy answers the door, but like, he's a airman, he's trained. So he's got a gun in his hand, but it's pointed at the ground, and he's saying, yes, sir. And he's like, whatever. Yeah. And the cop immediately, he's like, he's shooting before he even fucking says drop it. That one better fucking go down. Yeah. But having said that, this kid, he doesn't even fucking raise the gun when he's getting shot. He pulls up his offhand because he's that's a good young man that got murdered by a fucking cop because he did it the wrong fucking way. So I don't, again, I've known cops that are good people, but they're human fucking beings. And that those same good people have done some shady shit too. And so, like,
they're human beings, which means some of them are pieces of shit, because some human beings are pieces of shit. And when you give that person a gun, it can be a problem. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, I've said. I mean, you and I have had plenty of discussions about policing issues for sure. But yeah, I mean, I always stand by it. It drives me crazy when the narrative in the media becomes about racist cops, because I don't think it's a race thing. I mean, I think there are cases where it definitely is a race thing because they're human beings and some human beings are racist. But I don't think the overwhelming problem in policing is racism. I think it's the power dynamic.
Yes.
Again, it's
and they get
just over officious, over violent fucks.
It's the power dynamic, and it's at its worst in impoverished areas, and those historically tend to have larger populations of minorities. But
because they have larger and have larger populations of incidents. So
we were over policed in the areas we've lived as well. So it's not, again, it's socioeconomic. I mean, so there is a socio part to it, but it's more the, it's the class. It's the, we're a caste system in America more than we are a racist society. And we just use race amongst other things to impose that caste.
But the problem is for whatever, like, statistics, however they skew, because what you said about the socioeconomic is spot on. But unfortunately, because of how that skews and because of what people eat up in the media and what sells and what makes headlines, it always gets focused on race, which is why you don't see a case like the Daniel Shaver, not a Shaver brother, by the way. But that's why you don't see that in the news. You see that comes and goes from the news cycle like that, even though it's one of the most horrific police executions I've ever seen a cop do.
I'd like to do a whole piece on that one someday. I mean, I don't know if I could.
He had like some shit engraved on his gun. He was one of those cops that had like
the dust jacket of his gun. It said, "You're fucked" or something like that. And then that wasn't allowed to be admissible evidence. I mean, they let everything be admissible in the mindset of the criminal, but what about the cop?
To see somebody just begging for his life on his face.
They can take a life. Yeah. The state allows them to take a life. They should be held to the absolute highest standard possible. Give them all the mental health count. Give them all the things they need to facilitate that in the best way. But having said that, they should be held to the highest standard of everybody, not the lowest. Or that's unfair, but you get
Agreed.
a lower standard.
All
than
right. Well,
those.
we're gonna wrap up with. I'm thinking we should do recommendations for each other, like something in media, TV, movies that we've absorbed in the last week that we'd like to recommend. So I'm going to give you a sec. I got mine, but since I put you on the spot, I'll give you a minute to think about it because we need to take a quick break and have a word from our sponsors. Episode 2, we already got a sponsor. So I'm going to do a quick little live read for our new sponsor. If you're like me, Shavy D, and I know you're not, you don't listen to podcasts, but for the listeners, if you're like me, you listen to a lot of podcasts. And if you listen to a lot of podcasts, you probably hear a lot of ads for meal kits. And you've probably ordered many free trials for your HelloFresh and your Factor meals. But, if you're also like me, you probably don't get to those. Maybe your eyes are a little bit bigger than your stomach and, or maybe you accidentally order something that you have a food allergy to, or maybe you just get impatient and just run to Chick-fil-A before it gets here. So that's why we're introducing Refresh. Refresh is the online platform for buying and selling unused but not yet expired meal kits that you've ordered from a podcast. Super easy. You just go online, you just list, you can just scan your meal kit, it'll upload it right there, and then you can get a little bit of your money back, and then some of our other listeners out there can save big on these almost expired meal kits. And we'll do overnight shipping, because some of them are about to expire. So just go to Refresh and use the promo code Dave, and you'll get your first month free. Refresh, thanks for sponsoring the show, guys. We appreciate you. All right, Shavy D, let's get to our recommends for the week.
All
right, for me, I don't know, have you been watching Love on the Spectrum?
No. I think I've seen the title, but I've not watched it. Nope.
You must watch this show. And it'll be counterintuitive probably to our podcast because, our show is going to depend on, keeping you kind of fired up and angry most of the time. But this one will warm your cold heart. It'll bring joy back into your life. If you, I don't know, you've probably seen dating shows and stuff like that. It's not that. It's all, neurodivergent folks. And, it's not just autism spectrum, but it's all kinds of different conditions and diagnoses. But it's all, these young folks that haven't been able to, find love because of it. And they're three seasons in now. Wow. And some of these people on the show now, we've followed their story all 3 seasons through, and I don't want to tell you too much because I really want you to experience it, so I think you should start at season 1 and just take in a couple episodes and then report back. Let me know what you think.
Well, I'm excited because much like like you said, warm my cold heart, like the people that deserve a tongue lashing, I'd like to think that we're going to give it to them, but I also love human beings on an individual level are remarkable creatures. People, in mass, we're assholes, and we can be, and especially the people that play to that. But the people, like on a case by case basis, I'm in. And the idea of sometimes your mind can get in the way of your heart. So that portion of it, maybe I don't know what the show's going to be, but I remember. Dude. Years ago, do you remember the movie The Other Sister?
Yes.
Oh, my word.
Lewis.
Yes.
Yeah, it was great.
And it was, he was
Giovanni Ribisi.
Yeah, thank you. And I think that they did that in a pretty tasteful way. I mean, there had to be a little, drama to it, like anything, but it was, I could get a little misty right now. Everybody deserves happiness, and, that's great.
Oh, dude, this show is gonna wreck you. I know we have. I know we are of the same ilk in terms of some of that, tear jerky kind of stuff, dude. You're gonna love it because there is nothing. It's exactly what you're saying. Whatever the reason is, whatever makes these folks just so pure and just honest. Like, you learn so much about people. Like, it just. We could all be like that. It's not like there's things that
let the world get in the
way,
man.
There's some of those folks there's things that maybe they can't do that we can do, and that sucks. But we could all learn how to just be honest and just be kind. You know, the rest of us could figure that shit out. But I don't know. Yeah. It's awesome though. You're gonna love it, and you know when you get excited. You'll get invested in them because some of them don't find their way in season 1. It takes some of them, you know, this one guy, Connor, you're going to love. Oh, and the other great thing about the show is their families. Like the people that they chose for this show, you get to see a lot of interaction with the families and stuff too. And just to see, like, it takes like a really strong family to deal with a situation like that. And these people are amazing. You'll love it. Well, sorry, I'm getting choked up too. That show, it's doing it to everybody. If you go on TikTok, you'll see people crying over Love on the Spectrum like all over the world right now.
Well, and as you know, I definitely go like, you know, I can get to yelling, but I can also, I can definitely weep with the best of them when it was warranted. But yeah, I mean, I think that just the barriers that we put up and it'll be interesting. Oh, I'm sorry, the comment about the family. Yes, I think that the biggest thing is, I think for a human being with just the normal challenges of life, let alone the extra additional challenges, there is something equally as challenging about letting yourself be loved as much as loving. And that's what a family could do for a person with challenges. And to have them be put in a place to not only survive but thrive. I'm in.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. You're
bastard! Look what you did to me. Woo. All right.
All right. Give me a recommendation for this week.
Okay.
Something that's not going to make us look like a bunch of pussies.
Yeah. No shit. Well, I've already given you the recommendation of Invincible, which would absolutely.
Yeah, I'll be backlogging a couple of these recommendations.
Yeah, so
need a fresh one.
I want to see if I. Oh, okay. This is not something that I'm going to take this time to not necessarily make a suggestion, but to touch on something that you may or may not know that I read just yesterday and is very exciting news.
Okay.
As you know, much like yourself, I'm a lifelong diehard Star Wars fan. And yes. As much as I love the creative genius that is George Lucas and his the IPs that he has given us, I part ways very distinctly with him in his opinion about the original version of his material. Again, you own the IP. You created the IP. Whatever you want to do with it, whatever you want to have it evolve into or expand into as it moves forward, I'm all for it. But you also, for a time and place in life and in history, you created a piece of art. And that art was shared by a community, by a society, by a fandom that was created and, has expanded ever since. Excuse me. Boy, you really got me earlier. So I just read yesterday that, and I don't know, I would assume that Disney or Lucas or somebody had to have some sort of sign off involved, but maybe not. So I'm anxious to get to the deeper story. But I believe the second weekend of June of this year, the BFI, the British Film Institute, has remastered the original film Star Wars.
I heard about this.
Releasing it for, that weekend, I think it's the 12th through the 14th or 15th. And my prayer is that Disney understands and releases it as the BFI edition, the whatever they need to call it to get themselves through the night. They need to do that and release that, because it is Han shot first, and a whole generation of people had to come to grips with that, had to tussle with that. Like, the guys got you dead to rights. Like, what? I mean, there's a whole morality, and in the ultimate character arc, you are the scoundrel, and you become the hero. I mean, there is a hero's journey in Han that is absolutely neutered, destroyed by that type of repetitive. Right. So
you're right. That's
I couldn't be happier that someone did it, and if egos don't get in the way, I hope that the world will get to see it again. So
yeah, we'll see.
But,
you're right. That's important. Okay. We love a character on an arc.
Yes, and we live in such a world of just reveling and adoring these anti-heroes, which aren't really redemptive. So I mean, Han is a character that needs to be, that part of him needs to be accentuated, and maybe it'll be a counterbalance to some of this. Like, again, even a quality film, like there was a degree of over violence, but like the original John Wick, I was so down with that film, and then it just went right down the shitter since then. I mean, I think they've made more and more money, but like it's...
Oh, really? People love those. I've only seen the first one. I haven't seen any of the other ones, but people love those.
I can't stand them.
You didn't like the rest of them?
Oh, I watched the second one and I hated it, and then I gave the third one a try, and I gave up on that one, and I won't watch them anymore.
Is it because they tried to build too much of a world with like the hotel and all the different
No.
Did they try to make it too big, or...
It's the ridiculousness of the fight sequences and the length of them. And I get that, like, and this is not true to this film. It's true in so many other areas, but like, I think you hear it all the time, but Hollywood has somewhat fallen in love with itself even more since it's become even more encapsulated. Like the same 30 people star in all the movies, television show. Like it's the same faces over and over again. Well, if you're an artist and you're trying to create a film, like I get that they would want to challenge themselves. They want to change some new things. So they're maybe really getting into the stunt work and the choreography, and let's do this and really enhance it so that we can get shots of Keanu as he's doing stuff. But it just runs on and on and on, and it's the same thing. And even if you just slightly tweak it, it's still the same thing over and over again. And then it'll get ridiculous, and then it loses sight of why this was even like.
It's just going for body count at this point.
Well, and it truly goes into, like we've talked about a million times, the idea of where so often Batman is done wrong is in he's looking for justice, not vengeance. And they absolutely in the past 20 years have really leaned into
they've leaned into the vengeance.
And it's like, no, come on, dude. Like again, I mean, that's a whole nother show, but just James Gordon alone would not accommodate a loose cannon, only out for vengeance guy in his town. Jimmy G just wouldn't stand for it. So
no, that wasn't the relationship. That wasn't how it worked.
Right.
Yeah, I wonder when that new Batman movie's going to come out. The Pattinson.
I don't know. I'm super.
It's perpetually pushed back. They keep pushing it, but
I'm very excited for the Superman coming out. Some of that new footage.
That's pretty soon.
Yeah, like July 11th, I believe.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that too.
Yeah, there's quite a few.
I didn't watch that extended one with the robots. That was too much. I only watched just the very first trailer. I try to avoid the trailers. So when I saw that they released like that extended,
it was cool
or whatever.
It alluded to a couple things that where they could go with it. I mean, there was one thing like if by next week you happen to watch it, we'll talk about it, because there's a
Well, I'm
thing
not
about
gonna watch it. We're in the home stretch now, so I can get there without any.
because the
I've already
scene.
seen too much. I would have loved to have gone into that one completely blind. Would
Yeah,
have been nice.
yeah.
Honestly,
I mean,
I'm going in with a little bit of a chip on my shoulder about Guy Gardner, because just the visuals they've shown me, I'm not liking it.
yeah.
Like his uniform's all effed up. He doesn't look. His haircut is not. That's
No,
not
well,
right.
and again, that's
He's
where
too
you can.
old.
That's where you can run the risk of, you make films with the same people all the time and stuff, and that's wonderful and stuff. But sometimes people are, it doesn't always work out that way. It's not always about like wanting to employ
Right.
your friends or family. It's
Well, and the sad part is at the very beginning of the James Gunn DC universe, like there were many spots I'm sure he could have found for Nathan Fillion. You know what I mean? It's not like that was the only chance to put him in there. We're just getting started, but that was a weird one for me.
well, the biggest thing.
We'll see. We have a 60-year-old Nightcrawler coming up for Avengers Doomsday, so I guess the age restriction.
They have all but lost me by casting Robert Downey as Doctor Doom. I mean,
It's weird.
the ridiculousness of that is just astounding to me. Like there are plenty.
They should
of
have
other,
brought in.
like,
They could have gotten like
silly.
They could have gotten almost anybody. Like they almost could have had their pick. They could have gotten like a Christoph Waltz or like
Yes.
a real like
No matter how
Oscar-winning
intelligent-
actor, because they'd know that was going to be such a huge role.
no matter how intelligent people, Robert Downey Jr.'s portrayal of Tony Stark, no matter how much he encapsulated the intelligence, he also very much played up and encapsulated the snarkiness. And that's not Doom. And I get that, Robert Downey wants to, stretch his acting muscles and all that kind of stuff. But why do I want to see you? And like, it is so, again, and the same directors again, and I'm telling you, I don't think they're shaking out of their lethargy. I think they're going right down the tubes in it, and they're going to rely on. It's just going to be a who's who of names. I mean,
well, no genre more than
was awesome up until they started the Fox people, and then like it just was. Oh my, yeah. I think
the superhero movie genre. Wait, let me make this point. The superhero genre, the superhero movie genre, requires suspension of disbelief more than almost any other movie genre. Okay, nothing like recasting him in that role is like almost guaranteed to bump people a little bit. Like there's no way it's not going to bump people. Like there's no better way to remind you that you are watching a movie than to have a recast like that in the middle of it.
I'll give you a great example. Well, first of all, my feelings about Samuel fucking Jackson being, he ceased being any character around the Black Snake Moan days, like, and he is just Samuel fucking Jackson playing Samuel fucking Jackson.
Yeah.
Let me piggyback on that. I'm about sick of seeing all these fucking millionaires doing fucking commercials. Like, you need more fucking money. You need your face out there fucking more. Piggyback on the fact that he's in all these fucking Capital Ones with now Jennifer Garner, whether she's hawking that or hawking her fucking, kid brand of this, that, and the fucking other. You have ceased to be artists. You are just sellout jokes now. I just cannot.
I'm gonna have to ask you to take Jennifer's name out of your mouth.
She may be beautiful, but
that's where I draw the line.
No, and then the guy that I mean, I know a lot of people like him as well, but like the thought of Channing Tatum basically, pushing to be
manifesting
to be
that
Gambit,
role.
then he is awful. He can't even do the accent. He was wooden, and I mean,
it's so bad. It was so bad, and everybody loved it.
It was one of the worst performances I've ever seen. And now he's cast in Doomsday. Like, are
Yeah,
you kidding
but
me?
they're just gonna
Okay,
kill
look,
most of
man,
those people
okay, there's
off.
fucking Dawson playing Ahsoka, one of the greatest fucking characters created in Star Wars, and she's walked through it like she's pissed off because she's, I don't know, didn't get a fucking the right coffee order or something. Like, what a fucking waste of a fucking character. Oh my god, these fucking people that petition try to get these fucking roles. I mean, you got a fucking 1 in 20 chance of getting it anyway because they keep recasting the same fucking people.
Yeah.
Don't be disgusting
Yeah, fans are casting it. Fans basically cast Jim Halpert into Mr. Fantastic.
I mean,
Essentially, I mean that's why that happened. I mean, people
the
basically
one
just want.
the one that appears to be the closest to fruition right now that I just think would be disastrous is fucking Reacher as fucking Batman.
That's what everybody's pushing that, but I don't think that'll go.
Fantastic the first season, and that has gone right down the shitter. That dude just walks around mean mugging. Looks like he's exhausted from trying to keep the physique up, and barely like spits out a couple fucking. And then this year or this fucking past season, they all fucking sucked. I mean, even the Nagy, who they're now making a whole new show on, like they absolutely shit the bed on that character because one of the last episodes, she basically.
But I haven't seen it yet.
Oh my god, dude! It is terrible.
I'm halfway through. Don't spoil it.
Oh, it's awful, and these people are not.
I'm still gonna finish it though. I watch a lot of awful shit. Yeah.
What I'm saying is it kind of goes back to what we said earlier. It's even the people that are being presented as heroes are all basically self-serving anti-heroes, and they're what they want to do might line up with quote unquote what's right, but it's not. Their motivations are anything but altruistic. So yeah, I'm very disappointed. I mean, I think it's almost a generational thing. I just am surprised how, like I heard this phrase, assassination culture the other day, and I think there's some validity to it. It's the idea that now it's permeated both sides, where if you don't agree with me, you're such a piece of garbage, you don't even deserve to fucking live. And they're writing shows like that. Like, no, you take them into fucking custody because they can be reformed, and if not, you lock them fucking away and you fucking punish them that way. You don't get to be judge, jury, and fucking executioner, you stupid fuck. Oh, I mean, bothers the fuck out of me. There are no heroes left. And they're rapidly becoming villains, even the ones in the middle. Maybe that's it.
Well, that's what they say. You either die a hero or you live long enough to become the villain.
The villain. Perfect ending.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we solved all the problems.
For this week, at least.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up then, and we'll do it again next week.
Sounds excellent, bro.
All right. Peace.
Peace. Putin and Xi Jinping as he comes and meets with Trump. So the idea that, like, I'm just saying he's going to do what's right for them. And so, like, yeah, I think that's where I guess the best way to put it is, like, much like Saudi Arabia, we have done so much to, like, build up their infrastructure, build up their economy, build up all that now they are.
Oh, he froze up. Hello?